Hi, my name is Makita Hubert, and this is why I decided to quit my job. So, previous to where I am now, I was a flight attendant for over 2 years for a major airline. And I chose that job because I, during COVID, saw that there were a lot of discounts to enjoy. And I made the decision to continue to enjoy the discounts so I could enjoy travel. I saw that there was a benefit in it. And I had always grabbed jobs for the benefit of what they could do for me because I did not want to be there. But in this particular position, as a flight attendant, you are asked to work 16-hour days sometimes, and anything over, I think, 18 is illegal. And then you are asked to be there an hour early, of which you're not getting paid for. You're asked to be, looking the best that you possibly can look while being hit on constantly, underpaid, underserved, and underrepresented as well. For the negotiations that were happening as a flight attendant, they were extending themselves for years. And what I know about sticking around for years for something to change itself rather than you just changing yourself is just not a good idea. What inspired me to make this particular video, however, is I've seen that there is some beauty in reflection. And where I see myself going, I want to document this event in my life of quitting my job to be something that I never want to go back to. And oftentimes when we are in places of desperation, we have an addiction to manual labor. And I believe in my dream as a future master trader and fitness model, so much so that I am willing to abort what the conventional idea of having a job was and become an entrepreneur. I just knew that if I shared my story with other people, that I'm going to find my network and community of people who are probably like you, and that's the reason why you clicked on this video. Showing up for somebody else's dreams just doesn't make sense anymore. And to be motivated to do that when all you want to do is to take care of yourself, I want to inspire others to take that same motivation that they are putting into somebody else's dreams and put it into their own. So that's why I decided to make this particular video. I had always decided that I was going to leave my job. I just didn't know when. And one thing that was huge for me was one of my best friends who I had met at the airline that I worked at. She and I had talked a lot about what that next step was going to be like for us and if we were going to be doing it together. And it really helped after all of that training and everything that we had to go through. It was difficult to make that decision. I just knew that it had to happen. So did I plan to leave? Yes. Was it a sudden decision? Also yes. Because I had planned to leave. I didn't know when. And when it just so happened Beyonce's birthday came up September 4th. I always heard this thing that, we all have the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce. And it always inspired me to fit as many activities as I could in a day that I could possibly and be as efficient and create as many atomic habits as I could. And so she's been kind of a big inspiration for me to see how a woman confidently is able to perform within this character of herself. And that made it easier for me to be like, you know what? My 2.0 self wants me to leave this job. I'm going to do it on Beyonce's birthday. It's also Labor Day. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to do labor anymore. No longer. And I remember, because it's such a high security job, how are you supposed to take your uniforms back? Like, you have to give it to others. So there's some planning that has to go into it from, me making sure that I had all of my secure information set aside, all of my things that I wanted to save from my accounts, all of those things. And then finally pulling the trigger meant I had to do it in person. And I also wanted to give that recognition too. So I was just like, okay, hey, this business relationship has come to an end, both parties aren't getting what they want out of this, and I was the party that wasn't getting everything that they wanted. So it was time for me to admit to my job that I had another stream of revenue that was coming in that I was going to rely heavily on. And realistically, if you're working like 50 hours a week, so 100 hours every pay period, and you're getting an $800 or $900 check, that doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't make any sense. So for those reasons, it was very easy to make that sudden leap, because I felt no qualms about it. And initially, even though I had gone through all of that training, which was very difficult and very demanding, it was very heartbreaking to not find out until like the day before you graduate that like how you are actually getting paid, and that the amount of hours that you're scheduled are your contactable hours. So if I was scheduled from midnight until 2 p.m., they could call me at 1:45 and I would still have to derail my whole life from staying up all night thinking that the earlier shift was my shift, and then I'm working all throughout the night. So it was a lot to, if I'm being frank, if I'm going to destroy my circadian rhythm, I'm going to do it to vacation for myself to have fun, or trade, because that's already another thing all in itself that will mess with your circadian rhythm and take some time to warm itself up. So yeah, it was like one of those, I need to make this decision. It needs to happen now. That I did enjoy about my job though was the connections that I was able to make there. And then secondly, that I found my femininity in that job. I had never been in a job where I was able to dress femininely, or, where hosiery was expected to wear makeup. They didn't expect you to wear makeup, but, if there's 4 girls on a plane, you didn't want to be the one without it. So I'm very thankful for that, because there were some things that they broke down about the professional standard that no other job had really broken down in that way. And just saying you can wear this and you can't wear that, you're gonna do it because your job wants you to do it. But having somebody say that no, you're gonna be in front of domestic and international clients, and you don't know whose faith is what, or whose beliefs are that. So just treating yourself as the blank canvas for other people to be able to see themselves within you was a concept that I had never understood until I became a flight attendant. And I noticed that people started to treat me with more respect the more that I cared about my professional standard, and really used it to market myself and my brand. So that way, when my mentor was letting me know, this is what I expect of you, how you should stand and how you should dress, and these certain, social scenarios, I was able to take direction quickly, because I already knew that we fall into uniform, and that's something that I was already comfortable with authority as a flight attendant. Some of the biggest challenges and frustrations that led me to quit my job was that once I found out through opening my mind and my entrepreneurship and working on my mindset, I was like, oh my God, time is the most valuable asset that I have, not money. And I was missing my son's soccer games. And, there was this glamorous life that was painted for me as a flight attendant that I just did not feel was apparent while I was there, to be honest with you. So a big challenge for a lot of people in that position, as it was one of the first positions that women could actually work in when they could work, is that the pay hadn't been adjusted in any way that was reflective of inflation or the cost of living in any aspect. And then imagine you're going to different states. The other challenge was if they were taking you to one of those states and you were supposed to be living there and domiciled there, you're making, around $2,000. So there already that's taken for your rent. And then you already signed up in the beginning to be moved around. So guess what? You're going to now have to move to California. And so now you also have to pay another $1,000 for where you're going to be staying just when you're at work. So that was very tough because I'm coming home for 2 days a week, and then really breaking down into tears, not being able to spend that time with my son, and knowing that I have to get right back on a plane. And it was really messing with my life balance. And when you, like I said, you go through such hard training that you're like, there's no way that I could back out of this. So it's almost like the relationship from hell. It's toxic, and you're just like, well, they were with me from the beginning and they taught me how to dress. And, it's like, that's still bad, honey, The other frustration that I think that I noticed, and this was not just in this job, this is like every single job that I've ever had, there's only a certain amount of A-type personalities. And oftentimes when I would get rewarded for good behavior or, good managerial assertiveness, or the assets that I brought to the team, I got a lot of backlash for it because there weren't a lot of high performers on the team. And I knew that in order for me to be able to have that, I had to make that. And so being able to set that new standard of what it is when you come to work and the attitude that you have, it's crucial for you to be able to be sane at work. And when you don't have control over that, think about people who slipped through the cracks, got into the job, but then they get there and they find out all of the people who are in the sales position are all, Capricorns and, Aquariuses like me, and, Scorpios. And, these people are all, cliquey. You're outside of the group. These people don't do any work for personality types when you get there. They only care is that you fill out your W-9. But, there's not a lot of togetherness unless you're talking about diversity. And even though there's 5 Black people on a team, that doesn't mean that I want to get along with every single one of them. So there's a lot of frustrations that led me to be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I absolutely loved, because we talked about professional standards a bit, and that was one of my biggest takeaways. But one of the values that I really loved was that being a champion for standing up and doing the right thing. And I know that takes a lot of gall to do that. And it means that you really care about people, even though getting it out can sometimes be difficult. That creating an environment where you have rank, where you have open feedback is extremely important. And so as much as the intent was there to be able to look at the job that was done and say, how can we do better? That's a value that I've always had. And so I was grateful to still have that in the airline that I worked for. I've also thought that it was extremely important to walk the asset around the desk. And I'll explain that a little bit further. But at Nordstrom's, when you make a purchase, they're very kind to pick up the bag and bring it around to you. And, it's kind of a way to shake your hand and say, thank you so much for the sale. Thank you for your business. And thank you so much for coming back. As this is going to be a token that's going to make you come back again. And when we would get together in these meetings, it was very apparent that they really, really, really wanted to make those adjustments. Okay, here was the turning point. The final thing that made me decide to leave was I honestly saw that on the schedule, my son had a game and I was tired of having to say it one more time, that I was unwilling to at least take him, So I was no longer fighting for my limitations. And then the second thing was, as I was studying my trading and learning my strategies, I was noticing that other people were getting it and I wasn't. And it was because I was working really late nights, and I, during the day, didn't have a lot to give to want to study anymore. And so I had to choose my dream over my job. So I was like, absolutely not. I need to learn how to trade. We're done. Bye. To me, it seemed like an easy call. When I made the final decision to quit my job, the way that it made me feel was very nervous, because I had already done it before when I worked at Apple and I was running my Airbnb. I saw that I was making as much money as I did while I was working, and I immediately quit my job. And then the first thing that I needed was health insurance. So I was afraid at first, but that was just some residual stuff that had happened in the past. And then when I realized, okay, I can pay for health insurance if I need to. I did the calculation for the dentist. It's about $300. So that's about the $14 to $20 a month that it costs you to go anyways over a 2-year period. And I take really great care of my teeth. I don't need any vision enhancement or anything like that. So, okay. Then there was like second phase where it was like, oh my God, it feels like this weight has been lifted from my back, because the first thing that I didn't even realize was really giving me like post-traumatic stress was during that contactable period that I was telling you guys about earlier. If you are not somebody who is used to being awake at all those hours and they call you, you had 15 minutes to answer the phone and to be ready for your assignment. And when I quit, I didn't have to worry about calling out. I didn't have to worry about how many days I had left in my sick bank. I didn't have to, question any of those things. And it was nice to not have to be on edge 24/7 during my blocks that I was scheduled to fly. And it was like, oh my God, this is so great. I don't have to get on a plane again. And yeah, I was super duper proud of myself. I remember I called my friend and I was like, I did it. And she was like, how'd you do it, girl? And I'm like, I just did it. I was like, I'm done. So that felt really, really good too, being able to tell the people around me, because initially when I was talking about doing it, the people that you love are always going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're not really going to give you the answer that they want to give you, because it's probably out of their own fear, or like, look up for this, or make sure you do this. And when I ended up telling people, I remember them being like, oh my God, you've got a lot of courage to do that. And that meant a lot, that I was like, okay, good. When I heard that, I felt like I had made the right decision. My mentor also was like, let's go. So that slowly but surely, after I talked to more and more people, I was like, you know what? I feel good about this. I'm done. I'm really done. When you're done, you're done. I didn't really have a backup plan. Well, I did. So I say this a lot, but my plan A was to be a master trader and to be a successful businesswoman. And even if through plan B, if my idea was just trading, and now that idea has developed into educating others to be able to find multiple streams of income and to bless other people with those things, I was like, yeah, I'm still technically following plan A, which is to become a billionaire, multi-billionaire. So whatever steps that I needed to take in order to follow plan A, I was willing to do once they presented themselves. But the ultimate objective was to be able to free up myself, free up my time, and to be able to give myself the time and nurture that I deserved, which also was totally eye-opening as well after I stopped working completely. Let's talk about the aftermath. Like I said, a lot of my friends were extremely supportive, and let's be honest, if you don't have a supportive network of people, you probably shouldn't be hanging out with those people anyways. So I was very glad to have an amazing support system. And I also made the decision because I had someone caring for me and taking care of all of my bills as well, which was a luxury that had I not become a flight attendant, I don't think I would have had, because I didn't have the same put together as I do now. Biggest fears that I faced after quitting was the unknown. So emergencies happen, things like that. And also, I don't think that I was prepared that even though I was given more time, I was able to still fill the time with other things. And when I was working, and I feel like a lot of you can really vibe with this, put it in the chat if you do. That's your only thing that you're focused on. So your sleep, your eating, your everything is tailored around being prepared for work. And then when that's not there, then I was able to see, wow, there's so many other things that I'm able to do in a day and enjoy that otherwise get left by the wayside for weeks, months, years on end, because it's not that number one priority, which was work. And so when I removed that thing, like I said, it was very eye-opening. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, I now actually can sit in my faith. I can meditate. I can go for multiple walks in a day. I can own a dog. You know, I wasn't able to have any of those, what I consider luxuries. Hi, baby. You want to come say hi? Because of the schedule conflict. And yeah, that was a huge one for me, was the newfound freedom. Learned this about myself, that I'm extremely resilient, and I am a winner. I was always meant to be in the winner's circle, and I was always meant to flourish, and I'm just grateful that I saw outside of who I was in that moment, and I saw who I was wanting to become, and I focused on nurturing that girl. And even if I had fears along the way, I was able to combat them, because the goal is so much more worth it than dwelling on the fear. You know what I mean? So, yeah, never let your fear stop you from doing anything. And by saying it out loud that you are feeling the fear, you're giving it life, and you're giving it emotion, right? And we don't want to give our fears any life or any emotions. We want to give our dreams that life and those emotions. You know, if you worry, then you cannot pray. So, yeah, that's right. You tell him, Royal. You tell him. How has my life changed? Also, after quitting my job, I've been able to give people around me hope. And as a trader, being able to take that leap of faith when you know for a fact that you have to study and you don't have the time to do it, it took enough studying for me to come to that realization. And once I did, then I was able to stand on the other side and tell people that, like, hey, this is the life that's waiting for you on the other side of punching a clock, of remembering to input your schedule, to get your paycheck and then have to go and audit your own paycheck. That doesn't make any sense. You want me to be there, and you want me to, you know, run your company, but I have to chase you down for my own paycheck? That just didn't make any sense for me at all. Some advice that I have for you if you want to quit your job, I would say write down the pros and the cons. With everything, there's going to be some benefits that you really, really enjoy from your job. And I would advise you to write those things down, because just like a relationship, if somebody's able to buy you flowers, but they're, you know, terrible to you in every other aspect, then there's no reason that we don't want them. We don't want them, right? So if you are weighing out the pros and your only pro is that you get flight benefits, then, you know, quit your job. I've got those over here. Honestly. So then that way, when you remove yourself, then it doesn't feel like there's this void from something that you are inherently staying in that job for just to get that one benefit. I don't regret quitting at all whatsoever. I thought at first maybe I'd like miss the girls and the connections and, you know, all that fun stuff. But I'll be honest with you, in the space that I operate now with a, you know, mostly male dominated field, I find that it has been easier for me to work in environments with men and women, right? And not just have it be so one-sided or the other. And being a flight attendant was mostly female or feminine energy, and sometimes problem solving took longer than it needed to. So I would say my other piece of advice for you would also be to make sure that you have strong connections outside of work, which I feel like I shouldn't have to tell you because you're literally there to pick up a paycheck. But you do want to have people that you can get close to, be vulnerable with, and things like that outside of work. And then that way you already have that group of people there for you that know how to spend time with you outside of the commonalities that you have at work. Because as an entrepreneur, and initially when you first stop working, I know for a fact there's going to be that first week, just like when we were in quarantine, where it's like, cool, we're hitting Netflix, we're sleeping in, we're doing all the things that we didn't get to do. We're shaving our entire bodies because we actually have the time for it. And then you're like, okay, wait, what's my purpose? What am I doing? And then because you've built a lot of that network for yourself, then you know what comes next. You've already put together a great schedule for yourself as well. The third thing that I would say is, in order for you to align your energy with what it is that you want to do, you have to put that priority first. And so I will say it to you in a different way. I know that right now work is your number one priority, and what you have left you give to your business, but I want you to give to your business first at the beginning of your day. And then it will help you to get through those really hard days at work, because you're gonna be like, counting my days with y'all. I'm not gonna be here for very long, so enjoy me while you still have me. And then go straight back to work for you. It's balancing the scale in a way that is pro you and what you've got going on. And oftentimes when we end up putting someone else first, then that's going to be the course of the action for the rest of the day. So I know that you've probably been given some kind of advice to start your day with prayer, meditation, or a workout, or things like that. But I want you to include your business in that, because it is your baby. And if you care for it and make sure that you treat it as a primary source of income, then it's going to give you those kinds of results back. So those are some of the tips that I have for you to build some of that confidence in yourself, as well as provide yourself with as much information as you possibly can. I heard something recently in a video, and if I'm able to find it, I will link this amazing woman down below. But when Beyonce says, come on ladies, let's get information, if you really break it down, let's get information. And information allows you to feel confident to make decisions. When I made the list of pros and cons, it was with educated ideas of where I wanted to see myself and where I was in this very moment. So actually giving life to your dreams by pouring into yourself, it goes a long way to remind you on a daily basis of like, I am who comes first in all of this. And then it will allow you to shift your energy while you're at work to, that's minimal, because I'm not going to be here forever, right? So even if you know that realistically it could be a year or 2 years until you can quit your job, I want you to imagine what that is going to feel like with some of the examples that I've given you about what it's going to feel like for you to wake up at the will of your own body, for you to go to bed late if you want to and stay up binging things because you don't work tomorrow, so you don't have to feel guilty about it, to be able to say, you know what, I'll be there for you, or I'll give you a ride. I can count on being available that day because I don't work. These are all things that I know that you have dealt with and you've been frustrated with. We all have been. And it's not by choice. You've literally been pushed into a system where they've told you can either stay in school for the rest of your life and pay us to do that, or you can be in jail if you want to. You're not just property. You are a living, breathing organism that has hopes and dreams that I think you deserve to see through. So if you make this plan now that you don't want to work for anybody else but yourself, I want you to put that into the comment section right now, because I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to, in 2025, make the plan of how you are going to finally leave your job. And I want you to blueprint exactly how you did it, because eventually you're going to have to share that with someone else. And if the reason why you're leaving your job is to start a business, you already know that there is no success without succession. So find that person that you can then say, hey, I've already done it, and this is how you do it. Right now, I'm doing it for you. Now, what am I focusing on now that I've left? Right now, my main focus is to find as many women as I possibly can and show them how easy it is to invest in themselves and to raise their IQ. Right now, I'm doing an amazing job doing it because I'm just following God's plan. All I have to do is position myself to be of service to others, and I'm doing an amazing job doing it because all I have to do is just listen to the other person. What do you need? How can I help you this week? Through that, I've been able to collect all different kinds of skills that I had no idea I would ever need or would ever use. And I'll tell you a story actually that is part of my win story, and I think about it every time that I do something right now in my business. When I was first married, I was of the thought process, and for a very long time, that your only, all that made you you was what you learned and the degrees that you had to show for it. And because I didn't really find myself gifted at anything else besides writing, I was like, okay, well, maybe art. And I had this idea, like, I'll do graphic design. And my husband at the time was like, absolutely not. It's a waste of money. And so disheartened, I decided to not follow that dream at all. And time and time again, things kept coming up on the internet, like Fiverr and all of those things. And it was like, oh, you can make money just doing these tasks for people, that they don't want to do, build their website, blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting at my computer making some of these, videos that I make for you guys. And, the point comes up where I have to make a thumbnail, and I do it effortlessly. If somebody in my business needs me to remake their website, I could do that effortlessly. And it's because I didn't let not only my own limitations, or at least my thought of my limitations, but other people's thoughts of my limitations. I didn't let it stop me at all. And as you're making that list, I want you to write down some of the things that you're already naturally good at, because those are some things that will help to keep you afloat, that it takes really no thinking on your part to be able to sell yourself in that manner. And it's really great way for you to be able to pick up the slack to get rid of some of that worry. So some of those tasks that I do, like I said, are making graphics for people, making flyers. I edit videos for people's businesses. And it's also really fun because it comes naturally to me. So I have been seeing it grow my business in ways that I didn't expect through kind of a bartering system. And I am really enjoying getting the opportunity to tell people, like, don't worry about it. I'm already good at that. You deliver to me what you're already good at, and I'm going to bring what I have to the table, and it will make your life easier. And it's so cool because then each of us get to focus on just what is in our niche and what we love. And then we get to be enhanced with other people's gifts. And so that's something that I am very grateful for in this season of my business. I'm also extremely grateful for what I observe to be people seeing me as being confident, being competent. And those are, I think, with the mentality of following what somebody else is doing, you don't You don't care about competence because you're not the front line. You're not the one in charge. And now I am in charge of people's experience, the way they learn in the market, the way that they're able to adjust their mindset, which at work that they don't really care too much about adjusting your mindset unless it's in line with their values. And I have this amazing gift that God has given me by placing me in these jobs and around these amazing people as I've gotten to this place where I'm in life, where I've taken everything that God's given me and now I get to give it to the people who deserve it. And that's amazing. I asked God for a thriving business and for a happy family, and he's delivered and provided in every single possible way that I could ever imagine. So why would I not make this video for somebody else? Like, let's just see, by chance, because God does not have favorites. Let's just see if I do this and if you do this and you just so happen to come back to the comment section and say, Makeda, I quit my job. You were right. I followed all the things that you said. And okay, yeah, I'm scared, but I did it. That's all I want to hear. And we'll figure out the rest from there. Okay? We'll just figure out the rest from there. And if I don't have an answer of how you're going to make money, then I'll go and give you somebody else in global currencies, and they'll tell you exactly how to make the money that you want and give you the value that you paid for. Now, if after all of the things that I said, you are hearing this and you're saying, Makeda Huber is the person that I want to be mentored by, I want you to go into the description and I want you to click the link that I have down below. And what you're going to find in there is our Global Currencies website. And it was part of the thing that gave me hope to quit my job. Because in order for me to, at that time in my life, feel confident enough to move on to the next step, I had to have something that was good enough for me to leave the last thing. And now being able to have no fear, to know there's ambiguity over there and I don't know what's going to happen, but I believe in God more than I believe in my own reasoning. The way that I plan to sustain my lifestyle without a traditional job is to rely heavily on my ability to be a team player. I am aware that the more people that I have in my team, the easier it is for me to make those billions of dollars that I'm looking for. And it's just, yeah, like I said, it makes life so much easier. I'm going to take the lesson that I learned of having multiple streams of income, not just the one. And so far I've done really, really good at that. So the idea is to maintain, to scale, and then I would like to remove myself from the computer quite as much and deal more with real estate investment. And that I think will be a little bit more self-sufficient, so that way I can pass that business on to my son. And that is going to be a prime example of me building the community, keeping the liquidity within our ecosystem, and then training those to pass on that generational wealth. And I know, because I've already seen it happen, that is the wealth that I'm building. This weird money thing that's just paper that can blow away in the wind, that's literally just cotton. I don't care about that. I care that when I talk to someone on the phone, I don't have to awkwardly figure out how to get off because I don't know how to help them. I want to be that person who can say how much and what account. Don't worry about it. In that order. So where I see that growing is me being able to offer classes in leadership to other women, to empower them to first mentor themselves, but know that the ultimate goal is to be able to pull us all together in this circle, to be able to teach each other, learn together, and, heal each other through this journey, whatever that may be. In closing, something that I would say to my former self, you are way too hot to be working here. I will have you know that the real life of a princess, nowhere in the description of it does it include serving snacks or picking up trash for another person. It does, however, include finding as many ways as you can to be a saint. So if your plan is to follow God's plan, I need you to make room for it. There's a lot of abundance that's waiting for you on the other side of this fence that you're calling fear, and I need you to step over it because there's a lot of people who depend on you. I think that's good. I think that's what I tell myself. I hope that you take away whatever it is that you needed to take away from this. They say, take what you need and leave the rest. So if there's something that I said in here that helped you to quit your job, or maybe even just think about it, because this is the beginning of you even just considering it. Maybe today was really, really hard for you. I'm sorry. Maybe your paycheck wasn't as big as you would have liked it to this month. That sucks. I know that you were really, really banking on that. You deserve the world, little girl. And if you don't see her, I want you to imagine just a picture of yourself. And if you need to put a picture of yourself on your computer or in your wallet, I want you to do it. And I want you to ask yourself this question. Would you let that little girl work there? Would you allow her to work as many hours as you work? Would you allow her to be spoken to in the way that you're spoken to? And would you allow her to be overlooked for all of her accomplishments? I don't think so. So operate to protect that little girl. And you're going to get your answer of whether you need to quit your job or not. Like I said, maybe the time's not now. Maybe you need to put together that plan, and maybe you need to run both your business and your actual job at the same time. So that way you can really see that you had everything that you needed in you this entire time. So thanks for watching, and thanks for giving yourself a chance.